Mahmoud, male, age 54, Syrian, Irbid. A happy moment in my life? That's not a good question to ask a person like me. The war has deleted the moments you would call happy, like a wedding or a graduation. I guess I would have to say my happy moment was when my family and I crossed the border into Jordan. We were running, hiding behind the trees, because we were trying to avoid the bullets coming from the Syrian army. But when we walked across that border, we were away from the shooting and the bombs. We were safe, and that's a big thing, you know? It was like that moment in the game hide and seek, when you realize you've run far enough from everything that the person chasing you will never find you. Except this wasn't pretending. Maybe now I can't hope for happiness. Maybe now all I can hope for is safety. It was the Jordanian army that helped us cross into Jordan. The soldiers would hold their guns in their left hand, so when any of the kids came up to them, they would hide the guns behind their back and give the kids sweets from the right hand. Because now, the kids are always scared of guns. The situation in Syria is that bad. I will tell you something, a weight that I carry with me always. I was a high-ranking general in the army. No, not with the rebels, but with President Bashar. I spent 3 decades of my life fighting on the side of a man who has seen the death of thousands and thousands of his people, on the side of a man who most of the world sees as a monster, and I was part of it. But don't judge my story quite yet. I had a good life in Syria, 2 houses and several cars, but it came to the point when I just couldn't live that life anymore. Over the years, I slowly became disillusioned with President Bashar. Around the time when the revolution began, I began to despise him. About a year ago, when I finally decided to defect, I couldn't tell anyone. That day, I got into a car with my family and never looked back at Homs, the city I was leaving behind. We didn't take anything with us. President Bashar wants to conquer the people fighting for their dignity, and his war was conquering my conscience. If I was asked to bomb a town or shoot someone, even if it was my own town or someone I knew, I had to. If I didn't, they would shoot me and make my grave in the same spot, and then come back for all the people I care about. I've seen it before. I have a family, people I love, a wife and 5 kids. The thought of their safety was always on my mind. Wouldn't you have done the same if you were me and you had people you loved? About the time of the revolution, I joined a group protesting against the president while still in the army with some of my closest friends. This was all in secret. But even this could not ease my conscience. It was not enough. I still had blood on my hands from the things I had seen and not stopped, from the things I had done. How could I look at my son? How could I be a father, knowing that one good deed does not erase all the rest? The burden of leading 2 lives was unbearable. I knew defecting would be a big risk, but I began fearing what would happen if I stayed in the army more than what would happen if I left. And so I left. I thought life would be easier once I got to Jordan, but it seems as if I have traded one hardship for another. Life is too hard here. I am unable to do anything. There are basic things, and I cannot afford them for my family. I see my children struggling not to lose their futures, and I am powerless to do anything. Back in Syria, we had a life. We could live. Here, I am just a human. Inshallah, we won't stay here forever, but it needs time. all have to pay for our freedom, and this is my price. If my life were a book, it would be called Struggle for Freedom.